welcome all you viewers out there in TLBTV land. I'm Lorana Hoops, your host for Write the World, and you've joined us for another exciting episode where we talk to authors and writers of all different genres. We give you some amazing books that you need to check out, and of course, we tell you everything that you need to know about the writing process for all of you aspiring writers out there. And today I'm joined with a very special guest. This is Connie Colon. How are you doing, Connie?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing very well as well. It's nice to have a day off and just get to kind of chill for a little bit. So I'm enjoying that.
Well, writers from home don't get any days off. We just keep working.
That's true. I have my daughter home with me right now, though, and so I'm not getting a lot of writing done. Maybe after this, if she's still sleeping, I'll get a little bit more finished. But yes, is that what you do full time? Do you get to write at home full time?
I used to be in advertising years ago, and then I was an at-home mom for a while, and I wanted to do something from home while I was home with my son, and this was one of the things I always wanted to do. So
that is awesome. I'm so
better late than never.
Right? I know. I'm so jealous. 19
now, so
one of these days. Hopefully I won't have to wait that long because my youngest is 2, so that'd be another 17 years. But eventually. Okay, so why don't you tell us about this book that you've written, because it sounds absolutely hilarious, and especially if you have young kids. I can see my 7-year-old all over this book. So why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about it?
It's called School Rules, and it's book number 1 in the Principal Kids series. And this is about Oliver Kidd, who's an 11-year-old genius, and he zoomed through the Prodigy program, and he has his college degree already. And he becomes principal of Eggshell Elementary School, where he used to go when he was in kindergarten. So a couple of his best friends still attend there, but he can't be friends with them because it would show favoritism. So he's got to play it cool, but they're all allies because the vice principal, Mr. Dagger, is very nasty, and he wants Oliver's job. So he sabotages him a lot. But Oliver has his trusty sidekick, Chelsea the chicken, and she lives in the chicken farm behind the school. So the chickens play with them on the playground sometimes, but she likes to learn things. She's an intelligent chicken. She doesn't speak or anything, but she makes her wants and needs known. But sometimes she gets upset with Mr. Dagger, and if he's mean to Oliver, she'll poop on his shoes. So you have to watch your step around Eggshell.
Oh, yes. Little boys all over the world are like, pooping on shoes. Yay.
And when I had my book launch party, I even made the poop emojis with the smiley faces. They have molds to make chocolate candy. So we did serve chocolate chicken poop at the party.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. And you have a Chelsea the chicken mask. Is that correct?
Yes, but I think my husband might have taken it away.
Oh, no. She just had this mask before we started, and then the mask has disappeared. It grew legs. Chelsea walked away.
I'll see if I can get it back.
So, do you when you read, you have other items that you bring for when you're reading with kids as well?
I like to have some props around so we can play dress up. For the book launch, we did dress up like the characters. April, May, March likes to wear her mood ring, and that kind of dictates what she does and how she feels. So I had mood rings available. And then Tucker Wilson likes to do magic tricks. So we had magic wands that were pretzel sticks, chocolate-covered pretzel sticks, and magician hats and things like that. So there's all kinds of fun stuff. And the chicken suit, of course, which sometimes my son will wear and come out and surprise the kids. And I have this on YouTube also.
You have both an adult-sized chicken suit and a kid-sized chicken suit, is that right?
I'm hoping for school visits. Spread the word. If there's any principals out there who are brave enough to be a chicken, I'd love to come to your school, and then you can be Chelsea the chicken and come out and squawk and balk with us.
That sounds awesome. So have you gotten to do the reading of this at many schools yet?
Not yet, because it's summer here now. So I live in Florida. School's out already.
Oh my gosh.
I know. It's really hot down here already. But I'm hoping to schedule some school visits soon for the upcoming school year.
When do you guys start the next school year?
In August.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'm originally from New Jersey. I've been down here for almost 2 years. So I hope to go back up to New Jersey and visit some of the schools there as well. I used to be a substitute teacher for a while also. So I love reading to kids, and I love being in the school. My mother used to be a teacher, so I'm very much into that.
Did you sub for smaller children, the younger ones?
I used to sub for grade school. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I typically teach the older guys, and this next year they gave me a 3rd through 5th grade class, and I'm like,
They still listen to you. It's nice.
It's so different though. I'm used to being, you know, a little sarcastic and humorous with my high schoolers, and I've had younger kids before. They gave me a kindergarten class one year, and I was like, please don't ever do that again. But they don't get the jokes. So.
They're adorable for kindergartners, but they suck the life out of you.
Yeah, they do. Oh my gosh. I love them, but I'm like, man, it's just like you have to be on all the time. And so by the time the day was over, I was like, I don't have any energy left. I just need to go home and sleep. So what does Oliver Kid look like in your book? You described some of the other characters, but what does Oliver look like? Oh, okay.
Right there. I did the illustrations as well.
You do your own illustrations. That's awesome.
I didn't expect to, but my publisher liked the sketches that I had shown them and asked me to illustrate the book. So I said, okay.
That is great. I have a children's series out as well, but I do not do my own illustrations because I pretty much draw in stick figures. I had
a diary of a wimpy kid.
That's true. That's true. A couple of my students have been working with drawing like people, and so as long as I draw them in one particular pose, they're great, but I can only make them in one pose. So I'm like, nah, I still need some work on that before I can illustrate my own books.
I wasn't educated in like cartoon or comic book drawing. I have an art degree, but it's a fine arts degree, and I did a lot of photography and film. So this was all self-taught. I went to the library and I got books out about comic drawing and cartoon drawing and just gave it a whirl. So
that's amazing.
I'm hoping if these do become TV series one day, then it'll be done by professional animators.
Yeah. Now that's what you said. You originally had this pitched as a TV series, right? As an animated TV series.
I had gone to Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. I go to their conferences pretty often. And years ago, I went to one in New York, and there was someone there who was the head of Nelvana Communications, and they do television programs for children. And she gave her email to all of us and said, if you have an idea, pitch me, even if it's just one line. So I came up with something for this one. And about a week and a half later, after I sent it to them, her assistant out in LA called me and wanted me to do a TV proposal with sample episodes. And I didn't know what I was doing. I'm like, you're kidding me.
Wow.
Spent like an hour and a half on the phone with me, and I developed something that they said they liked and it was good, but it was a little too close to a few things that were airing already. So, and they didn't want to create competition for their own TV shows. So then I pitched this one, and they asked me to do the same thing again. But then I was told by some people who are in the industry to do them as books first and then sell the TV and film rights. So it's a long shot, but might as well dream big.
Right? So that's still on your back burner then, once these books are out, maybe going back and pitching it again?
It's possible. And I did take TV screenwriting classes when I was up north. I went into New York City and I took some TV screenwriting classes there. So I have a pilot episode done for each of my series.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, you just have the one book out right now, but you're planning to turn this into a series, is that correct?
I'm working on books 2 and 3 at the same time. I'm kind of flipping back and forth. I like to have a couple manuscripts going at once because they say to work on something and then tuck it away for a while and then come back and look at it with a fresh eye. So it helps when you have a couple things going at once.
Awesome. So that way you're never like not writing. You're getting to write every day. Well.
They said to do that too, but I don't write every day. I try to do something for my writing every day. You know, whether it's reading or doing some marketing, I do something.
Awesome. So the first book really just sort of sets up the whole premise, right, of Oliver coming back and getting the job. What are some things that we can look forward to
in school rules, he announces new rules for the school that are kind of kid friendly, and all the students are happy about it, but they backfire on him. And Vice Principal Dagger calls up the health inspector and kind of squeals on Oliver. So the health inspector comes and he gives a failed inspection notice to Oliver and tells him if he doesn't remedy the situation in like 24 hours, he's going to shut the school down. So now Oliver has to save the school and save his job. He's like, how's this going to look on my resume if I lose my job the first 2 days in it? So he's under the gun now to get everything done in time. And so he enlists the help of his friends, and they come up with a plan to save the school.
Awesome. So what are some of the kid rules that he came up with?
Well, he implements a fast and a slow lane because he said kids are always going to run down the hallways, which they do. So you might as well pass them safely.
It's very true.
So, and then he said that kids are always going to want to chew bubble gum, so he allows bubble gum in the school. But then, I don't want to give away too much, but Vice Principal Dagger sabotages those efforts.
Oh.
He has some old gum that has expired that he's confiscated throughout the years. And he has Oliver hand that out to everybody on the playground.
Oh, no. So I'm guessing there's a lot of sickness involved after that.
Well, sickness, and then some of the smaller kids blow bubbles and then float up in the air, so they have to get them down.
That's awesome.
Hot air balloons. Jumping up and pecking them with their beaks to bust the bubbles.
That is awesome.
There's all the zany stuff that goes on. I was advised at various conferences to just go wacky with it, like just really get out there with the ideas.
I think it's true because kids just like anything kind of crazy and wacky, and so especially the more colorful it is and kind of crazy it is, the more they seem to like latch onto it. So how long did it take you to write this first book?
I didn't really time myself. It's been on and off for years. I started this concept probably a good 10 years ago.
Oh, wow.
I was reading some news articles and I saw something. This was a real life situation about someone called Michael Sessions, who was in high school, and he ran for mayor of his town in Hillsdale, Michigan. And he beat the adult mayor, who was like 50-something years old and had been in office for years. And he was just this 18-year-old kid. He didn't even have his license yet. He had to drive his bike to work. So there's a kid's story in there. And of course, this is also like Doogie Howser, MD, which I loved years back.
Me too.
So that's how this evolved. And then I worked, like I said, I worked on and off, and then other things in between. And it almost was published a few times. I was in revisions with an editor who was at Random House, and he loved it, but he was about to go to another job at Scholastic, and he wanted to take it with him. But then he wasn't allowed to work on it once he was there.
Oh, no.
It happens. This business is crazy. I had someone else I met, loved it, brought it to an acquisitions meeting. And usually when it's an acquisitions, you figure, it's a done deal. But then her publisher said she doesn't like doing debut authors. She only likes giving contracts to people that have at least one book published. So after a while, I wasn't sure what to do. I didn't want to give up on it because I thought this was a really fun thing, and I just knew kids would like it. And then I met with the foundations books, and when I sent it to Laura, she said, "I love it, I want it." I said, okay.
That's awesome. That's awesome. It's good when you hear that. And I'm really surprised Scholastic didn't pick it up, because it sounds like something that would totally fit in with the type of books that they do. So that's, sort of interesting. But you're right, you never know with this publishing world, and it's a shame that they won't always take chances on new authors, because how do they expect you to become established if nobody takes a chance on you?
Everything happens for a reason, I figure. So, and the humor's been punched up because of the screenwriting classes that I took. The teacher there was phenomenal. And I just feel with TV, you have to minimize your words drastically, have a certain amount of time, and that's it. So it's really good, I think, for picture book writers, which I don't do at this point. I might one day, but you just have to really economize your words so drastically when you're doing something like that. So it really makes everything count. And I just think the humor was punched up, and I had to think visually for TV. So that helped with illustrating this also.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's probably really nice. I mean, I know that wasn't your original intent, but it's actually probably really nice doing your own illustrations because you know what's in your head, and it's a lot easier to get it down. I remember when I was first learning to read, I didn't like reading illustrated books because the pictures never matched the picture in my head, you know, and it would be stupid stuff. Like they would have the main character's hair the wrong color or their eyes were the wrong color. And I was like, did these people even read this book? So that part is probably pretty nice that you get to have control over that aspect.
I think it would have been fun to see someone else's interpretation also. So, I mean, we'll see what happens with anything in the future.
Yeah.
Kids manuscript that's really out there also.
So this is your only published book, but you told me you have other stories, other books that are kind of sitting back.
I have another book that involves talking highly evolved cockroach.
Nice.
Another one that'll be crazy, probably skewed a little more towards boys, but
yeah,
they say girls will read anything. They'll read any book. It doesn't matter if the main character is a boy or a girl. Boys tend to read just boy main characters. So, and there's boys and girls in both books.
And that's a really, I think boys are a really good target audience, especially for that age, because a lot of them, and I'm not trying to be stereotypical here, but a lot of them aren't readers. You know, they want to be playing their video games or their trading cards or whatever they're doing now. And it's hard to get them to sit down and read.
I want to make it fun for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
For the summer, like I want to do something. I live in a neighborhood with a lot of young families, so I want to do like a little summer reading club where they can come over or I'll meet them at there's like a community center kind of place near the main pool, and we can just have fun reading some books together and doing dress up and stuff like that. And I'll hand out bubble gum or cookies or whatever. And
just make sure it's not expired.
I won't have them float up in the air.
Right, exactly. So are kids books the only genre that you write, or do you dabble in other genres as well?
I have started a manuscript for adults, but I will use a pen name for that because that's a little bit spicy and I don't want to mix up these two at all.
Yes, that's always a good idea. Is anytime you're going to be spicy, I don't think I would want it to be relating to kids books.
But it'll be nice because Foundations Books has a wonderful section with a lot of romances, and at the heart of all of this, they're all romances. I mean, even the spicy ones are still boils down to a romance. So.
Right. That's awesome. And they seem really great about taking on different genres from the same author. So that's really nice. I know you don't always get that with publishing companies, but.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about your writing process. Where's your favorite place to write?
Well, I need it quiet. So I have my own room is turned into an office here. We have like a spare room that's an office. And the only one allowed in while I'm writing is my dog. He sits quietly at my feet.
Right.
Usually asleep. But so I need it quiet. I can't even listen to music because I can't have lyrics. I can't listen to other words while I'm trying to formulate something.
I can't either.
If I'm editing, I can sometimes be interrupted. If I'm sketching, that's fine. But when I'm writing, I need it quiet. But I usually start with a visual. So
I'm sorry, with what?
I usually start with a visual. So if I have like a main character in mind, I'll do some sketches, or I might go through magazines and I might cut pictures of what I think that person's going to look like, or what they might wear, what they might like to do or eat. And I just put together like a notebook with
very nice,
so I can visualize them. And I try to get a voice in my head also, like with the cockroach one. He's very snooty, and he was raised in an opera house, and he thinks like what the kids do is very yucky and gross. So in my head, I hear Tim Gunn's voice.
I love that.
Sophisticated, and Figaro wears a vest and an ascot. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. And what do you think is the easiest part of the process for you?
I don't know that there is an easy part. I think once I get what I call in the zone, then it just flows from me. And I kind of feel like something else takes over and just flows through me and out my fingertips onto the keyboard, and I just go. But that doesn't happen all the time. So I guess the key is to just keep writing, and when that happens, just go with it.
Yeah, I have found those moments too, and they unfortunately don't come every time I put my hands on the keyboard, because if they did, my book would be done a whole lot faster.
Yeah, and I don't think it matters how long it takes.
Yeah, I always tell my kids, it's just keep writing, because eventually it's gonna come back around, and you'll get that stroke of genius again, and then you'll be like, oh, I know exactly where it's going.
Yeah,
what about?
It helps a lot.
Yes, absolutely. What about the hardest process? What do you think is the hardest thing for you in the writing process?
To stop procrastinating. I think it seems most writers, like, what, you're probably on Facebook, and don't you see a lot of writers?
Yes,
on Facebook
all the time. And I'm like, why are you people on Facebook and not writing?
How come we're not writing books? We're just making comments to each other. So I try to shut all that off and just concentrate on what I'm doing.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Just try.
Right. I know, that's so hard. What do you think would be your best advice to somebody who's just getting started? They haven't maybe finished their first book, but they want to do that.
Get another job to pay for something, because there's really not money in this.
Yeah, it seems to be a really
for some people, but people said don't quit your day job, but I had already quit. I was home with my kids, so I figured I'm broke anyway, so I might as well write.
Right. There's one of the groups on Facebook that's called 20 to 50K or something like that. And I never understood the name of the title until they explained that the only way that you can really make $50,000 typically in a year is to write 20 books. And I was like, 20 books in a year? Like, that's insane. Who has the time to do that?
I thought they meant like you'd have to write 20,000 words or something, but
no. 20 books. And these people, I was like, are these kids books? Because maybe I could see 20 kids books. And they're like, no, full adult books. I was like, yeah, I don't know. Do you people sleep? I mean, I can't imagine.
I could bang those out pretty quickly.
Yeah. My kids' books, my first kids' book, I actually wrote in an afternoon, because I had the idea, and it was one of those inspirations, and I was like, oh my gosh. And it kind of sat down, and it took me about 6 hours, but I hammered it all out. And then I was like, wow, okay. The second one took a little longer, and I haven't started the third one, but I have the idea in my head. So I'm like, okay, I need to just sit down and do it.
Revising them too.
Yes.
You can just keep revising something to death, and sometimes I'm guilty of that, or I'll get too many opinions from different critique partners, and that can be mind-boggling too. Sometimes you just have to say, okay, I like it like this, it's staying like this, period. And I've gotten all kinds of advice. I've left some conferences in tears. There was one agent I met with, and I paid for this critique also. I paid good money to have this critique with this person, and I left in tears.
Oh my gosh.
Have to consider the source, because then I spoke to other people, and this person, who shall remain nameless, was so rude to so many people. He was never asked back to that conference again.
Why would he even bother coming then, I wonder? Probably his company sent him out there, and he didn't really have a choice.
I'm still doing my work, so.
Yeah. So your book is available on Amazon, correct?
Oh, I don't know.
I know it's available on foundationsbooks.net.
You can go to the.
Okay. Well, we're having an unstable connection here, so there we go. Now you're back. Okay.
You can sign up for a free newsletter So that's on www.Connie, C-O-N-N-I-E, Colon, C-O-L-O-N. Did I say that right?
Yes, COLON. And we'll link it. I'll put an article with this video when it goes live, so that you guys can all check out the links in case you missed any when she was rattling them off, or if you want to know where to find the book. We'll have all of those linked in the write-up that'll be with this video. So I want to say thank you, Connie. You've been a fantastic guest, and I can't wait to dive into your book. It sounds amazing, and I'm pretty sure that my oldest son would totally eat it up. So I'm going to have to check that out as well. And I wish you good luck on book 2 and book 3, and we'll have to check back in with you and see how it's doing. All right. Well, for all of you viewers out there, thank you so much for joining us, and make sure that you come back next week for another episode of Write the World.